Okay, so we put together just a few pictures to show what was happening in the Ames booth at ISE, but in fact, there were about 12 to 15 booths that were showing IPMX things at ISE. I'll walk through a few of these, and then I'll talk about a few of the others, and let's see where that leads. So this picture shows what the Ames booth looked like. There were several vendors in this booth. There was a presentation area where a total of 6 presentations were given throughout the event. The front desk had equipment from several different brands, which we'll see. One wall had a demonstration of, one screen was a control system that was controlling a live presentation switcher and controlling all of the NMOS endpoints on the network. And the 2 other screens on the wall were showing receivers in an HDR workflow right next to a SDR workflow, so that people were able to see SDR and HDR synchronized receivers on an IPMX network and look at the quality difference and just chat. One of the walls had digital signage where there was content like arrival and departure screens with different flight information, simulating what you would see at an airport, and there was a content window of HDCP protected content that was originating from an NVIDIA shield. It was just a content that was put on an NVIDIA shield, and that content went from the NVIDIA shield to a transmitter from one manufacturer, into the receiver from a different manufacturer, into a presentation switcher from a third manufacturer, into another transmitter from a 4th manufacturer, and into a receiver behind each of the displays. And that protected content from monitor to the shield and all of the different manufacturers in between was doing the key exchange properly using the HDCP key exchange protocol developed by the VSF. So let's look at a few of the pictures. Oh, it's not flipping. Do I have to turn this on, or? Yeah? Oh, there we go. So this is just a walkthrough of the booth. You see some software and hardware, senders and receivers, and there's an LED wall. The LED wall tile controller is a native IPMX product, and I don't know if you in the last few frames, you'll see the eagle on the digital signage screens. That's the HDCP protected content. I don't know if it's a hawk or an eagle, but you don't see it that well. Anyway, so this demo was SDR versus HDR, and we're just showing different things being received by different products. On the LED wall, we were putting the different sources through a presentation switcher. We were simulating on this presentation switcher an IPMX environment because the next generation of this presentation switcher was being discussed by the maker of that piece of equipment in their booth, and the next generation is IPMX native, so all of the inputs and outputs can support IPMX and SMPTE 2110 on that next gen product. So we sort of mocked it up with the old generation, and the LED wall tile processor was by a company that implemented both SMPTE 2110 and IPMX. So that was from the presentation switcher to the LED wall input was an IPMX native flow. This is where the protected content was being shown and flexing the HDCP key exchange protocol. This was the LED wall that was repurposed into a presentation screen, and various different topics were covered. Each one got reasonable attendance. There's, like I said, a few different pieces of equipment from different vendors that were shown. These are things that either are already available with support for IPMX, and some of them support more than just one flavor of IPMX and more than just IPMX. They also support SMPTE 2110. So you see a mixture here of encoders and decoders and developer tools and presentation switcher and LED wall tile processor and things that could run in software. There was a network switch in there as well. The switch provider in this case is waiting to learn what the results of some of the switch recommendations that the VSF is making will yield, and possibly willing to add profiles to their switches to reflect comfortable configurations for IPMX networks. So altogether, just a mixture of different types of equipment. So aside from that, there were some other notable booths. At Panasonic, for example, they had one wall that was featuring what they consider the things that are notable protocols for the Pro AV industry. They had NDI, Crestron NVX, and IPMX was one of them. I forget what the fourth one was. I don't remember if it was Dante or SDVUE, but there was 4 in total. One of the 4 was IPMX. And they were promoting it in the context that their displays are the first things that are going to take advantage of IPMX through SDM modules, and that will work with their projectors and their commercial displays, followed by platforms such as the Kairos that right now already support multiple things like SMPTE 2110 and NMOS and different uncompressed and compressed options like JPEG XS. So adding the ingredients of IPMX to that platform appears like something that they're discussing with their public. And then the last piece at Panasonic, it's the camera group. Again, some of their PTZ cameras already implement 2110, already implement NMOS, already implement codecs that are compatible like JPEG XS. So they're studying right now the ingredients like RTCP sender reports and things like that. As I mentioned earlier this morning, DeltaCast was showing their intention to support mini drivers so that all the popular applications in Pro AV like Resolume and Stipe and Watchout and vMix and OBS and Touch Designer and all of these different AV apps and live event apps don't have to do any work to be able to pick up a stream that is IPMX. So what you need to make up a system like that is a software receiver, software sender capability on a PC, and this type of mini driver to talk to these apps. So there were things like that being shown, and I'm not going to go through all of them. There was, like I said, more than a dozen. A lot of LED walls showing 2110 and IPMX at the show. Earlier this morning, we talked about how in previous trade shows, we had a 2110 system connected to IPMX systems, and we were sharing content between them. So for the LED walls, this is a very nice demo because they can show their LED wall receiving content from both types of networks. A very, very nice demo for that type of equipment. So this was shown on both rental and staging, as well as fixed installation LED walls throughout the floor. Skipping out of ISE, another thing that was established last week, we just completed the first of these, is kind of a long-term public demo. This was achieved with a consultant called Harper Vision, and they operate out of the Swedish-American Chamber of Commerce building on 3rd Avenue in New York City, Manhattan. And at that facility, they, on purpose, have a mixture of equipment. They have a lot of NDI equipment, a lot of Dante equipment, a lot of production equipment and broadcast equipment. And what they do is they show you the effect, like the conference rooms, the huddle rooms, the meeting spaces, the event spaces, etc., but they also allow you to go and see behind the curtain and look at their racks of equipment and what's running what and how things are stitched together. And they also do interoperability tests between different things to see, you know, what can work with what, how much work is it to adapt one thing to another. And so we added IPMX last week, the beginnings of an IPMX network. And the purpose of that was because they were receiving the IMCCA, Communications and Collaboration Association, Collaboration Week, and that association was traveling from different venue to different venue in New York City last week. They stopped at Microsoft, they stopped at Cisco, and one of the stops was this place called The Gateway that Harper Vision operates out of. And this was an introduction to that community of IPMX and to witness a live demo. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that anyone here in this room that has equipment that they want to bring to a network to try your equipment on, to talk to the public, you can just reach out to the head of that consultant's name is Greg Harper. Most of you probably already know him. If not, I can make introductions, but the understanding is that this belongs to everyone, so that people that want to contribute ingredients to this network and show things working together, this can be done. One of the things that we did to address conversations we've been having with the audio community is we configured the demonstration to use some AES-67 devices on the network. So these are not IPMX devices, they're AES-67 devices. And the way we set it up is there were some sources that went into IPMX senders, and the audio was routed one way and the video was routed another way. And on the IPMX receiver, it was receiving the audio and video from different senders, and we were just monitoring the lip sync and making sure that everything was perfect. And the only connection between the receiver and the display had the sound playback and the video playback. It was just an HDMI cable. So we were doing the perfect sync on the two IPMX devices, but then we switched to AES-67 Dante product. So it was a Dante sender, but configured in an AES-67 mode. And we were able to switch the audio track to the AES-67 just to show some of the connection points between AES-67 and IPMX. So these ingredients are going to be built out further. So we're going to add a 2110 network to this facility and try to show interoperability between some 2110 equipment and some IPMX equipment. And hopefully this grows into something that people could go and look at how their equipment behaves on this network, or play with an NMOS controller, or have meetings, have discussions with a consultant, or you can even they're welcoming you having meetings there with organizations if you want to hear from people in an environment where there's live equipment. So these are things that AIMS is trying to do to help people touch and experience and feel some of the concepts. So there's been some pretty good demos that began in 2022, starting at Infocom of that year, and every major trade show since then we've tried to show some new elements or new ingredients, and we'll continue to do that at future events moving forward. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that?
That's it.
Okay.
Great job.
Okay.
I'm here if you have questions. I was there with you as well. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so are there any questions about that? Anyone who's interested in that New York consultancy could just reach out to Brad or Jack or me or anybody else, Tina, and we'll just network you to mingle at your leisure.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.